I'm gonna have to jump off a little early, guys. I apologize for that. It's a big day of events for us.
We're live again.
Great. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for sharing your time with us today to talk about the Layoff Aversion Fund program. James Kohnstamm with the Miami-Dade Beacon Council. We're here with a number of community partners with the intent of providing some deeper information about this program and assisting you all in accessing this fund to support your business. Just as we start, a few housekeeping items that are all fairly normal now for this Zoom life that many of us are living. For all of the participants, your lines are muted. That way we don't have any background noise. And for our panelists as well, we'll ask that we all keep ourselves muted unless we're speaking to make the information as clear as possible. There is a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. For any questions for the panelists, we ask that you please write your questions into the Q&A section, and we will be addressing questions at the end of the program. There's also a chat function. Please use that function to share information or to pass information between the attendees. But if you have a question you would like addressed by the panelists, make sure that that goes into the Q&A section. Lastly, we've already uploaded one item in the chat, which has the links to all of the online applications. There are 4 different links for Miami-Dade County, one for each of our respective organizations. And so you can use either of those links to submit an application to the Layoff Aversion Fund. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Rick Beasley, the Executive Director of CareerSource South Florida, to provide an overview of the Layoff Aversion Program and why we're here today. Thank you, Rick.
James, thank you. One, to the panelists, it's been great to see you all. I'm not able to see the attendees, but I'm glad that we have a number of folks in our community who are interested in the program. And so first, let me say on behalf of CareerSource South Florida, our role is to provide employment and training solutions to help build our community. So my hat's off to the Beacon Council. Thank you all for your support, but also to our other partners who have joined us in this effort to assist our community. I want to say Patricia, I know we call you Patty, but thank you on behalf of our board to CAMACOL, to Mr. Leroy Jones, and the efforts that you all are doing with Tools for Change and Neighbors for Neighbors Association. We also have our good friends and great folks, not last but not least, but the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, Alfred Sanchez and Marilu. Thank you all for what you all are doing. We greatly appreciate it. And again, our friends at the Beacon Council. These are the 4 partner agencies that we're working with. And James, you and Mike have been fantastic. All the folks over here have been fantastic to work with. But the idea for us was, as a workforce board, how can we assist our business community of keeping employees on board, as well as maybe reducing the amount of time that employees and businesses have laid folks off. And we've also increased where we have not-for-profits. But our role there is, how do we keep our community working? We also have heard that a number of small businesses and not-for-profits who weren't eligible to apply for the PPPs or couldn't get in and get access. And so we did our research, my staff and I, and I'm thankful for David Gilbert, for Robert Smith and Rose Sennin in my shop, who helped put this together, research it. We were researching what others in the state, and I would tell you, in our region, we're the only workforce board in the Atlanta region for the U.S. Department of Labor who is implementing this, so it's new. So we have a number of questions that you probably will ask. The initial goal here is how we help our businesses and how we help not-for-profits continue to do the work they're doing, to continue to employ, to help grow our economy. We know COVID-19 has been devastating to our community. However, this is Miami, actually Miami-Dade County, but we will continue to repivot, redesign, reimagine, and re-engineer how we do our business. So this program on behalf of our board has launched with the initiative to help our businesses and our not-for-profits in Miami-Dade County and in Monroe County. We're thankful for our partners here, again, the Beacon Council, the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, CAMACOL, and Tools for Change, for the efforts we're doing here in Dade County. And in Monroe County, we're working with the Key West Chamber of Commerce and the Marathon Chamber of Commerce. So again, our staff are grateful for our partners. We want to make sure that our community, our region thrives. And so with that, James, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Rick. So moving right into the program, again, want to thank and recognize all of our partners in this process. Mr. Leroy Jones of Tools for Change will begin with an overview of some of the eligibility and use of funds for this program. Then we will move to Marilu Rios from the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, where we will actually walk through the application and the different fields and be able to address some of the questions there. I'll be following with some information about Biz Help, which is another area of support. And then Patricia Arias from CAMACOL will be managing the Q&A. So we're going to leave a lot of time at the end here to try to answer all the questions of the participants. So with that, Mr. Jones, the floor is yours.
So good morning, everybody. First, I want to thank CareerSource South Florida for allowing us this opportunity to serve the community. I also like to thank all the partners that's involved in it. I want all the audience to know that this was done very quickly, and so it's motivation to try to get this money on the street as quickly as possible. So I want to thank everybody again. Also on the other end, producer change is Mr. William Young. So I do a part of it and he'll do a part of it so that we can move this along quickly. So I just want to start by saying we was able to send this out to a large group of people. We had about 200 people that clicked on the link. As you can see, we got 102 people that's attending, so which is good. So this program, as I go through the eligibility process, this program, I want to start off by saying that it's offered to for-profit and nonprofit organizations, so both can apply. So I'm gonna give you the eligibility that I think that I know will serve both, that both nonprofit and for-profit will need. Nonprofits and for-profits are eligible. You have to be located in Dade or Monroe County. You have to be in business at least for 2 years. We need a copy of your certificate of status with the state of Florida, as well as your LBT, which is your local business tax receipt for Miami-Dade County. You have to have 3 or more employees, okay? Copy of your 941 and RT6, both nonprofit and for-profit needs to have that, okay? 2 years business tax returns for both for-profit and nonprofit. Current unemployment insurance taxes, RT6 from the state, and a Form 941 from the feds, from the federal government, okay? And that's for 2017, 18, or 19, okay? We need a W-9. As you know, whenever somebody awards you money, you got to fill out a W-9. So here's some of the requirements for a nonprofit only. Only if you engaged in these type of services that you can apply. So if you're helping ex-offenders, you can apply. If you're helping the homeless population, youth offenders population, currently involved in county involvement as relates to juvenile justice system, program designed for people with disability, and also the migrant and seasonal farm workers. So those are, you have to be servicing that population in order to be a nonprofit to apply for this program. I also want to let you know that this program is only for reimbursements. So it is not going to be doing no direct payments or issuing a check for you to pay for the goods or services. It's only a reimbursement. And if I recall correctly, Mr. Beasley said we can go all the way back to the date where the governor announced the state of emergency for COVID, I think, which is in March 16th. Somebody can correct me, but it's in the month of March. I think it's March 16th. So if you have any invoices to show any funding that you spent as it relates to the things that you can use the funding for here, you can go all the way back to March 16th, the date in which the governor announced the state of emergency. So nonprofit organizations, the copy of 2017, 18, or 19, last two completed business tax returns, which is a Form 940 return, or organization tax exempt from income taxes. For-profit, copy of 2017, 18, or 19, last two completed business tax returns, Schedule C, Form 1040, for-profit loss, and business statements, okay? I think I'm doing all right. I'm being clear about it and getting right to the teeth of it. So any of my colleagues is able to jump in if I'm leaving anything out or if I'm misstating anything, please help me out, okay? Because we're a team here. So don't forget, you need to have a current unemployment insurance taxes. Copy of it, again, 2017, 18, or 19, RT6. I'm going over the things again that I mentioned a little earlier. That's important, okay? Well, all of it is important, but these parts here are critical. The RT6, Form 940, and Form 941, okay? Remember again, public and private charities, foundation, churches, religious, political, social welfare, civic leagues, social clubs, labor organization, and business leagues are exempt from liability of U1 tax and should provide a copy of their 501c3. Okay, so I hope I did a great job. I hope I got right to the teeth of it and cut out the fat. And if I left anything out, William, you can correct me or add in, and then you can do your part as a release of use of funds. Thank you all so much.
Good morning, everyone. Now we're going to go over one of the most important parts, and that's what we can use the money for. First of all, if you have your employees working at home remotely because of COVID, and you had to purchase computers, you had to purchase telephone headsets, things like that, you can get reimbursed for those types of expenses. If you are a restaurant and you're trying to convert to an online process or curb service, those costs can be reimbursed by this program. If you need to clean your office or sanitize it to make sure that the COVID bug is not going to be there, this program will pay for those types of services, also the supplies that you need to use it to do it yourself. For compensation, The only compensation that can be paid through this program if you participated in the short-time compensation program. And last but not least, they say other creative approaches, and those will be looked at on an individual basis. Now, the prohibited use of funds, you cannot use the funds for hazard pay, you cannot use the funds to pay rent, you cannot use the funds to pay employee wages unless you were part of that short-time compensation program, and you cannot use the funds for support services such as childcare, transportation, lodging, or meals. And as Leroy said, this is a reimbursement program, so these are expenses that you already paid for that you're going to get reimbursed for now.
And so remember, examples of working remotely. So this program is geared to help you with your employees that's working from home. Okay, so they'll purchase the computers, printer, telephone, headsets, video, conferencing software. So it's a lot of opportunities here. So we just want you to take advantage of it. If I'm missing anything else, William, or if any of the team think we left something out, please jump in and help us out. We greatly appreciate it. Wow, you mean we did that good?
I think so. Thank you, gentlemen.
Wow, thank you.
Very clear on the requirements, and I guess I'll just take the opportunity to reiterate the need to update or to upload the documents that Leroy indicated, everything from the 941s to the tax returns to the receipts on the items that you see. We will not be able to certify and approve those applications without all those documents uploaded. So it's essential that in the application process, we upload that information. Alfred,
James, James, I wanted to point out to that point, there's a question from Adelaida Abreu. The link to upload documents only allow one upload. For example, business taxes was only uploaded 2019. I couldn't upload 2018. So I'm not sure if anyone can answer the question, how do you upload multiple documents?
William.
Okay, Alfred, I was going to suggest that the question is, you say that they're not able to upload the documents. Is that
multiple documents?
Okay, you should be able to upload one at a time, though, not at the same time. So they're not okay. If they can email me the information, that I'll have someone from IT take a look at. They need to email me the information, who they are, so we can see what the item there is. Okay. And then I need to know who they apply to, because I'm not gonna be looking for, if they apply through the Beacon Council, they apply through the Chamber or CAMACOL or through Tools for Change, I need to know that as well. And then we'll have somebody look into it.
Thank you. And I think we had discussed some of that earlier, that there was the potential to, for multiple years, maybe to put those documents together as one and upload it. So if you have 18 and 19 returns, if you're able to bring those two PDFs together and upload it, that could be one function, but there might be another way to address it through CareerSource. So I think that segues great into the next part of the presentation. Marilu Rios from our Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce to go through that application process and talk about some of the entry fields. Marilu.
Sure. Thank you, Leroy and William. You've made it really easy for me to do this part, and I just also want to express our gratitude to Rick Beasley and the CareerSource team for continuing, their leadership and helping our community with these types of initiatives. Very creative. So let me, I'm going to show a slide deck because it's easier for me to show you the actual application. This is not the live application, but what this is can everybody see that? Okay, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, okay, awesome. So before I do that, I just quick review of what Leroy and William were talking about. Have those documents available because you will be filling in actual numbers from them. The W-9, the RT-6, the 941, the last 2 years of your business tax returns, or if you're a nonprofit, the 990, receipts. I think one of the things that I saw is that the receipts need to be scanned in one file to be uploaded. And again, you're only going to get reimbursed for actual receipts. And then any other documents that they're requiring. I think that you want to err on the side of providing too much versus not a lot. So this is the actual application. It's very simple. Just when you get there, just be ready to fill it all in with your federal ID number, your business legal name. If you're not able to upload your certificates of status with the Florida Department of Revenue, what we've been doing is we've been checking to make sure that that you're in compliance with that, but nonetheless, over document and make sure you get that uploaded. The NAICS code is right off of your tax return. You know, the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. Put in, you know, one of the 3 categories that you fall into based upon, you know, if you can see my cursor here, based upon how many employees you have. Now, one thing that we have seen that we think is really important, the 941 that you upload, which is the last quarter, it's the federal quarterly federal payroll tax report, right? And that return has a number on it, which shows the number of employees that you had during that last quarter. That's the number that we are looking at in order to determine how many employees you have. So make sure that that's consistent with your 941. The intent of this program, if you'll, you know, when you read all the documentation, is that this is to help small business employers. So that's the beginning part. It's basically one document. I've just split it up to make it easier to review. You'll obviously fill this in, and obviously you're saying yes. Whatever you provide in that is really important for the reviewer. This is really your opportunity to explain why you deserve this grant, right? Any unusual circumstances, that's where you want to put it. This is probably the most important part. Be specific as to by line item. And I think Leroy and William were very clear about, you know, these are amounts that you've already spent. You want to put those dollar amounts in there, provide the explanation. Again, more explanation is better than none. And then what you want to do is total it up, because that number will be seen by the person who reviews. And here is the section where you attach your receipts. And it says specifically, all receipts should be scanned and uploaded into one file. So if, you know, and that is just something that you can have somebody in your office help you with if you're not certain on how to do that. Here's where you attach your different documents, the last 2 years of your tax returns, the 941 or the RT6 for the same period of time, October through December, if applicable, and current lease agreement, certificate of use for your home business, and your W-9. For nonprofits, here is where you attach your information. So you would do one of these 2 sections, profit organization or nonprofit, and then you hit submit. It's really quite simple, but you do want to do some preparation, get all your documents together before you hit submit. Review one more time to make sure your application is complete and make sure that you've included all of your documents. Are there any questions? Or does anybody have anything else that the team might like to add?
Yeah, if I can add, I think what's important, what you said, is that they need to print out their SunBiz, State of Florida Corporation, and write the exact name, because oftentimes they call their business name something different than what it legally says. And we see it often happen. So that can be a part of them being rejected and why they can't get through. So I suggest that they print it out and write it exactly how it says, because regardless of what it calls it, we're going to go by what it says in the state. Okay. And then another thing, sometimes the corporation name don't match what the LBT says. So that happens a lot, I can tell you. Like, those two things are an issue up front. So they need to address those two things, because it can't be two different businesses. It can't be the same business with two different names. Okay. So I think those things are important.
Thank you.
I also want to share that in the chat, we are continuing to post the link, the CareerSource link to the program. And when you click through there, there will be the 4 application links for our respective organizations. So with that, we'll move in a moment to Q&A. I know there's a lot of questions. As you're gathering your thoughts, I'm going to share my screen briefly to show one more resource to consider. This is a web portal, bizhelp.miami. This is something that has been a community effort to create, and you'll see that there are resources and technical assistance, as well as resources and support. And so for those organizations that are applying for this or looking for other areas of support, I welcome you to visit this site and look at the different areas of support. Some of it's financing, some of it is technical support. There are other resources here. And so just a quick advertisement, if you will, where you can find additional resources, not only for helping to apply for this program, but for others. And I'll direct you to, at the very bottom, how to contact us. Questions at bizhelp.miami comes directly to us, and we will be following up quickly on any inquiries. So with that, I know that there's a number of questions, and we've been tracking those items. I want to ask Patricia from CAMACOL to help us in leading some of these questions. All panelists are welcome to help respond, and hopefully we can address the questions that our attendees are seeking. Patty.
Okay. You guys have done an amazing job. And I have a question from Albert Fernandez, and he says, how can I revise my application? I listed items that we would like to get instead of items we already purchased, but I think you guys already answered that, but maybe you can, we've been getting a lot of those type of questions repetitive. So maybe you could go back and elaborate a little bit more on that again. Thank you.
William?
Would like to take that.
William? You heard the question. You want to take that question?
Okay. Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. He goes, how can I revise my application? I listed items that we would like to get instead of items we already purchased. So he wants to redo the application because he realized, I think this is a very good question.
Oh, that he realized that it was reimbursement and not
Correct.
They discussed about two ways of doing that. One, it goes to the organization and we review it, and we see that the information he provided was not the receipts. We will contact them directly, because you should not have to resubmit the application. You're only going to resubmit that information that we're going to change. So the organization that reviews his application will contact him directly.
Okay, thank you.
That would be the easiest way to do it.
Thank you. I hope, Albert, that answered your question. And I have a question from Maria Villacampa, who says, do you reimburse cell phone for employees that are working from home and need to use cell phone for business needs? Who would like to take that one?
As long as the service, if this was a part of COVID-19, the use, then that would be allowable. They have to provide the receipts for the purchase or the use of the cell phone from the time period of which COVID-19 hit, the executive order, until now.
And if I can add, make sure that the receipt, if a lot of receipts that have the names on them, make sure it's the business name or the person name and not some other name that we can't relate it to the business.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, guys. And then I have a question from Jennifer, who's asking, are 1099 employees eligible for the 3 employees?
No, they have to be employees of the company.
Okay.
And that they must, let me say this, Patricia, they must be full-time employees, not part-time. Everything must be full-time employees to be considered an FTE, full-time equivalent.
And if I can add to earlier, I did say at least 3, but it have to be between 3 and 50 employees. Okay. So I said it got to be at least 3 employees, but I didn't give a cap number where it closed. Between 3 to 50 full-time employees.
Thank you, guys. And then I have another question from Carlos in Miami, who says, can you use the monies for marketing materials and services, since it's become very important to communicate to clients, and I have, that we are offering services in a safe manner and have offered our services?
Unfortunately, no, you can't use the dollars in that regards. The dollars are there to maintain the employees that you have, and you may purchase equipment or items for your employees to keep them on. That's the intent of the resources that we have.
Thank you. And Jennifer asks, can you please elaborate more on the reimbursement category of quote unquote staff wage benefit to support layoff aversion? Thank you.
Ask that again, Patricia.
Can you please elaborate more on the reimbursement category of staff wage benefit to support layoff aversion?
Can't hear you, Rick.
I'm not sure I know what she's asking, so yeah. I don't want to. If you have that in the chat, if you can send that to me, then we'll and they provide more information, we'll be able to get that back out to you all, so there's clarity in the question and clarity in our response.
Okay, will do. I was disabled due to an assault for 3 years and restarted my consulting business in January. How do I represent the situation? Again, I think if I can answer that one.
Go ahead, Patricia.
Yes, I provided our email, our CAMACOL email that I will refer to everybody and copy everybody so we can answer these type of questions off of the chat. And I already posted it. So anybody with that type of question, you can email us and we will distribute, just to make everything easier and flow quicker, if that's okay with y'all. I'm trying to go through the questions as quickly as possible.
Patty, I saw there's a question here about the size of the file upload, and it
Yeah.
seems there was some concern or issue that their files were too large. I don't know if anyone can speak to limitations in the upload process.
Well, James, I just reached out to David Gilbert from our office and asked a question about the size of the file. I don't think that was the item. I think the issue was the number of that. Let me hit him back through chat and get a definite answer so I can come back to that one. Okay.
Okay. Let me see. Sorry, guys. Trying to work fast here.
Patty, to add, one of the questions that
Thank you.
that we saw come through from a couple of people is how long did they have to be open? If they didn't have 2019 or 2018 tax returns, what did they do? But the qualification, obviously, is that the company has to be open.
The company has to be around for at least 2 years. Around. They must be working either in Dade, primarily located in Dade and Monroe, 2 years. That's the minimum. Okay. Self-employment is not it does not meet the qualifications. And to answer the question, James, going back, it's 10 meg. 10 meg is the file size. Okay.
Quite large.
All right. So, but the company must be around 2 years.
Great. And then Rick, to you, one of the other things that had come up, there's a lot of sole proprietors or businesses with 1 to 2 employees. Do you see a possibility for a second wave where sole proprietors or you know, businesses with 2 employees or 1 employee would be able to apply?
Well, from our end, no. I'm going to answer it directly, and here's why. And I hope the folks understand. When we launched this program, and I failed to mention that we got some great help from CareerSource Florida, the state workforce board. Andrea Cornelius, who's the Senior Vice President for Economic Development and Workforce Development. I reached out to her because I saw something in the regulations that allow us a little bit of flexibility. And with the program is supposed to help us maintain employees on working. A sole proprietor, again, would not qualify for that, and then the resources that we have would be being disallowed. And so we try to make it the number of employees as small as we could. Again, folks, the dollars that we have are federal. We try to make sure it's flexible. I can tell you that no workforce board in the Atlanta U.S. Department of Labor region, that's Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North, South Carolina, Tennessee, no one has created a program like this. And again, if it wasn't for the state being flexible with us, we probably wouldn't have been able to launch this. And so we also, you know, and for us, it was a concern for all the businesses that we have in Dade and Monroe County. I wish I had the dollars to help proprietors, you know, the sole proprietors, because we know we need them to stay afloat. And so we try to find the gap. I do know that Miami-Dade County had provided some resources for smaller employers. So we try to find the gap and focus on, again, those employers who were employed, and not-for-profits, at least 3 up to 50. I didn't want it bigger than 50 because then those small employers would be missing out an opportunity to get some relief. So that was the purpose of the program. And then unfortunately, and I don't want to be too direct, but unfortunately, I'm not able to go back and help the sole proprietors. I wish I had resources to do that. But based on the federal law that we have, again, am I saving jobs? Are we saving people from not having to go on unemployment? Are we help employers bring people back? That's what they're going to look at, and that's what the intent of the program is to do. It is to help that employer keep a Rick Beasley on board, to keep a Marilu on board, to keep a James on board. That's the intent of the program. And if I had the dollars without any strings, I'd open it up for everybody. But I just don't have it. Oh, and so let me also go back, James. Everyone, we had talked about June 30th. That's been an issue. So when I tell you, when we got off yesterday, that we were blessed that our conversations with the state of Florida They have changed, and so we're going to keep it open until the money runs out. Until the money runs out. And so, but I do want to rush for the June 30, but until the money runs out. And so June 30 is not really the deadline, but we want to make sure that we get things spent as soon as we can. Because if I can get my hands some additional resources, this will sure make an impact for the state to say, hey, you know what? And they like it because it was something that is innovative and is interesting. We want to help our employers. That's really the kick up. And if I'm helping employers, I'm helping employees stay on board. That's the key.
Okay, I have a question. A question came in that said that they applied the very first day and they submitted the application. And as of today, they haven't heard any communication. How long does it take?
So I don't know what organization. I know that all the organizations should have submit their security codes in. James, have you all got everything done? I know you sent it in. Everything approved? Everything done? Good? Okay. So I do know we had organizations that were submitting their security clearances in so that we can get them all approved for the staff to begin. And so our goal there is a 3-day turnaround. And so this actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, today's the 3rd day. So hopefully we can get some approvals over to folks and they should be able to hear, but they'll get an email one way or the other, approved or not approved.
Thank you. We're reviewing.
Very good.
Maria, have you gotten any more questions?
There was one that was, and maybe there are others that have this question too. This goes back to the presentation from Leroy, the nonprofits that, the nonprofit work that's approved, or maybe it was William, I'm sorry, but it's asking, could you go over the list of nonprofits that are allowed to participate? Asking if, mentioning disability. So if we could just review those maybe for the participants to clarify again.
Okay, so I'm gonna go down again. What the nonprofits have to be in the field of work to do to participate in this program. If you're assisting ex-offenders, the homeless population, youth offenders, juvenile justice system, if you're helping people that's in the juvenile justice system, people with disabilities, and if you're a migrant and a seasonal worker, a farm worker. Okay, those are the areas in which you have to be providing a service to a client as a nonprofit to apply through this program.
So James and Leroy and everyone on the purpose of and the idea behind it was working with organizations, not-for-profits that we know that we're dealing with this environment, and particularly those in programs that who receive money, who get cut in funding. So whether they're working with youth, working with at-risk youth, DJJ, working with migrant workers, working with the disabled community, they were still more in line about what we do, and so there was an emphasis, a priority on this particular category. We want to help all not-for-profits, but we want to emphasis on this particular category of organizations because, again, they're typically the ones who get their funding cut faster or first, and particularly in this environment. And so for those who are serving those who are disabled, those who are serving for the juveniles who are who've had some issues with run-ins with the law, those who are homeless, the emphasis was working with those organizations so that we can continue to keep them aboard to provide, again, those services in our respective community. That was the intent.
So when I talk about homeless, I'm talking about young people and adults too, because we have a little, and so when I'm talking about juvenile justice, we talking about people that's in the court system, adults and juveniles, and so
ex-offenders to
disabled, adult and juveniles. So I just want everybody to be clear that we just not talking about, you know, adults only, we're talking about juvenile system too.
Exactly. So those who have a mental, physical illness, those who have a physical disability, again, those organizations that are providing those services to that population. And again, typically during this time when you have what we call a national disaster, there are the organizations who typically get cut first, their funding goes. And so the intent was trying to, how can we keep them who are on the front line, assist them, continue to provide the services. So that's why. So not only small business, but also not-for-profits with that particular emphasis.
Okay, just to reconfirm that the window again are expenses between March 1st and June 30th. But I have a gentleman who's asking if we can go over the items again on how the monies can be spent through in that window. And if you guys could be a little bit more explicit, that is what he is requesting. Thank you.
Okay, for the use of funds, like Leroy had said before, if you want to set your employees up to work remotely, where you have to purchase computers, software, printers, telephones, headsets, and even as Mr. Beasley said, you can pay for cell phone use as long as it's related to the COVID time period. To set your employees up to work remotely, those expenses are allowed. And remember, these are items that you already paid for, because this is going to be a reimbursement program. If you're a restaurant and you want to convert to online or corner service, pickup service, they will reimburse you for those expenses where you have to convert your restaurant over. They will help you to purchase cleaning supplies or a cleaning service that will come in and sanitize your business for COVID. And those are the basic expenses that they will pay for, reimburse for. She can go over the app, if you can put up the application again so they can see the categories, that would be good.
Sure, let me do that. The application?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, they're asking again to go over the work from home expenses to clarify that. They just need a little clarification on that.
So
Thank you.
let me kind of clarify this. When we're talking about working from home, I'm going to use my organization as an example. We typically don't work from home. It's mainly you come into the office. And we were like every other organization. When COVID-19 hit, I had to send or allow the majority of our staff to work from home. And I didn't have enough PCs, so we ended up having to go out and purchase and try to purchase enough PCs to be able to have our folks work from home. So not only PCs, we had to go get the hotspots, pay for hotspots, as well as cell phones for the intent for our people to work from home. Those costs under this program would be reimbursable, okay? We've had a request from, let's say, an employer who was had a restaurant, and had spent their money on maintaining their employees there, but they went out and bought paint, supplies, and other equipment so that the employees could do other work in the restaurant in terms of construction, repair, restoration items that kept them working. So you had a number of employers who got creative to keep their people on the job, although they may not be doing the functionality they were intended to work, but they purchased other items to keep them employed to do other things around that particular restaurant. Those are things that could be reimbursable because the intent was to keep their employees working. If your employees have always been making cold calls and had cell phones already, those costs are not allowable. But if you had to reposition, repivot what you were doing to keep your employees on board, and you justify those are then reimbursable. I hope that clarified. So James, I think it was James or Patty, you asked a question of there was one that came up about the the staff wage and the benefit for the support to layoff aversion. So
Right.
there was another question in the Q&A that asked about short-term compensation. So here's this. There may be employers who have a short-time compensation plan approved by the state of Florida, okay? And how that works, and James, you can correct me, and Alfred probably can correct me, how that program actually works is that you submit your plan into DEO. DEO reviews it, and what you're doing is you're reducing the number of hours that individual is working on the job. You're still paying them. Instead of them working 40 hours, you reduce it down to 20. You're still paying the 20. The other 20 are coming back from your unemployment compensation fund that you paid into for the state of Florida. What's reimbursable are the potential wages that you're paid while they're on the short-term compensation program. That's reimbursable, okay? Up to the amount based on the number of employees that you have. So the program is designed to go up to $10,000, but in particular categories. And so those wages would be allowable if they're on an approved short-time compensation program.
I have a question again about the cell phone use. A lady has that they were paying for cell phones prior to COVID, but due to COVID, these cell phones were crucial to talk to community members. So I assume it's that it was somebody who was using their personal cell phone who now is using their cell phone to continue working from home. So they want to see if that is allowable.
That because they were already using cell phone use for their regular purpose, that wouldn't be allowable, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
A lot of good questions. We have time for maybe one or two more before we wrap up.
James, I saw a question regarding the receipts. They don't have their receipts, but they have their bank statements.
That could be a little tricky. The bank statement ain't going to tell us the actual, in most cases, where the money was
Unfortunately,
spent.
I'm going to have to say no. Because again, I'm not able to link that with a receipt. I'm able to see it, what it's applied to. And so unfortunately, no. We need to have the actual receipts, okay? Actual copies of the receipts.
So they should be able to go back based on the bank statement, who they spent the money from, and look on their computer or go call a company and ask them to send a receipt. That should be an easy fix, right?
Or if they bought it online, they can get the receipt online.
Right.
If it's through Amazon or something, you know, yeah.
And what is the last day of the receipt can be submitted? What is again, the window?
Again, the window goes from March 9th or 13th, whatever, when the governor, and I apologize if I'm actually on the same day, but when the governor issued the executive order until the system shuts down. And so I do want to mention to all the folks who are here, the applicants, potential applicants, that we're working with our partner agencies here. And once they have approved the maximum amount of money that have been allocated to each of the organizations, once they've been approved, the application process then cuts off. And so the answer to this question is, when the application process cuts off, is because they're out of money, okay? The deadline for June 3rd has been, you know, we're gonna take that off, but when these guys are out of money, they're out of money, okay? And that's when it cuts off. So if they can get the receipts in, if they purchase it on June 30th, and that program, the organization they're working with is still able to accept applications, they can send it in. Because again, the executive order has not been pulled. And then I think we said it's 45 days or 30 days after the executive order. So that's really the key there as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
So if I can make a last suggestion to everybody who planning on participating in this program. I know we're going to have quite a few people that submitted applications for different things, that whenever you submit an application that you keep a copy for yourself, because I've been noticing the basic stuff has been asked for the same thing in all the applications that's available. And to keep you from looking for the same stuff over and over, you just make your copies of every funding source you apply from, and it'd be easier for you to get the information together to get it in. Because of course, it's going to be first come, first serve who documentation is right to get the money. And the longer it takes you to get it in, the more opportunity you missing for someone else to apply and use all the money from the various groups that's involved. So I just wanted to share that because I see it happening often. So.
And Leroy, to your point, I remember you asking me the question of, does this program prohibit businesses or not-for-profits to apply for this if they've already received resources from another entity? And the answer to that is no. This program does not prohibit that. It is actually there to assist. So if you receive assistance from the county, you got a PPP loan, or whatever other services you receive from any other entities, that does not preclude you from being a participant in this program or receiving funds from us. That does not prohibit you from receiving dollars from here if you're able to get approved. So I just want to be very clear about that. Okay.
And I have one final question that says about the receipts. If the receipt comes under the owner's name, the owner of the company, is it allowable?
I think if we can make sure we link the owner's name to the company and the company is active, the corporation is active, I don't see it should be a problem because it happens often.
Yeah,
So,
the company, you have to link it back to the to their SunBiz that that is being done on behalf of that company, and that's what you have to provide. That link is there. Without it, unfortunately, we have to disallow that piece. So we have to make sure that it's linked there. And if staff probably disagree with me, they'll send me a note and we'll get back with you all to make sure we get some good clarity on that. But a great question.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, I think we're just about out of time. So I want to, first of all, thank all of our attendees for listening in and asking great questions. Mr. Beasley and CareerSource for your innovation in making this program available to our community. And of course, the partners in Patty and Joe from CAMACOL, Alfred, Marilu from the Chamber, and of course, Leroy and William from Tools for Change. Thank you so much for your partnership. We're of course, I think speaking on behalf of all of us, we're dedicated to getting this money out and getting this approved as quickly as we can. Of course, within the rules and regulations of and requirements of this program. So if we're not able to approve your application, we'll be following up and clarifying why, and if we can go back and upload a few more documents or make some clarification to make that so. Thank you all for participating. Have a great day, and we look forward to reviewing your applications.
Thank you, James. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
I want to commend everybody for a great job. Everybody did great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you again, Rick.